Yo, 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 coming to you live on location. Me and D Miles are staying our ass at home in quarantine here in Orlando. And this is a special one, y'all. You know what I'm saying? This is our first head coach, NBA head coach. We got a real good friend of mine, my main man, coming to us live on location from Calabasas, just one exit away from D Wade and Gabby, y'all. We got my main man, David Fizdale, in the building, man. I appreciate you, man. Y'all bear with us with the internet and the Wi-Fi. We live on location, so we might have to move things around. But appreciate you showing up for us, Fizz.
Man, if you call me at 3 in the morning, I'll be there, brother. You know that. This is awesome. I appreciate y'all having me.
We're going to have to get you some AT&T 5G up down there so you can get the whole house working on around. Man.
Send me some of that D Miles money. That'll get my AT&T. Right?
Brought to you by AT&T 5G.
When you played, who's the first person to bust your
ass? Right out the gate, huh? I would say the first time I felt like I got like somebody really, gave me the business. I think it was probably Jock Vaughn.
Jock Vaughn.
Felt like, damn, I just got he got me. You know what I'm saying? Now I got him back a few times.
And what was he giving you? What was he doing?
He was just smarter than you. He knew how to play the game more.
He just he was so ahead of his time with the way he saw the game. As a young point guard in LA, he really saw the game 2 or 3 steps ahead. And I picked it up quick. Like, okay, I see what you're seeing now. And so I had to, I went back to the drawing board. I had to figure out, okay, this is how I'm going to beat this guy. Yeah. But he was you guys might, I don't know if you remember, but Jock at a young age was a phenomenal point guard. I played the 3 guys I would say that gave me the hardest time, but I definitely gave them their own fits was Jock, Steve Nash, and Jay Kidd. I had Jock in high school. I had Jay Kidd in high school. We lost to them in the state finals, and then Steve Nash was in my conference all 4 years.
Yeah.
And so I had a bunch of battles with Steve. We played 8 or 9 times in college. So we ended up developing a great relationship out of it. But you guys think all 3 of those guys was, damn good basketball players, big time point guards, smart as hell.
Right. All heady guys, very heady dudes.
Your neighborhood is like legendary. You got Hall of Famers, you got coaches, you got all the best players. Tina Thompson told me she grew up with you, and y'all used to play back in the day. Like, how was that when you came up, the neighborhood and all the people you see that successful right now?
We didn't know it then. We didn't realize what was happening around us, and it was funny. I was just talking to one of my best friends that I grew up with the other day. But, it's other guys that people don't talk about that's from the same neighborhood, like Harold Miner.
Miner.
I had the Super Pro career, but Harold Miner was legendary coming up through that time. And Tina was a little girl who would follow her older brother, was like my bodyguard. He was like my Q. He was like Q. He was like the dude who he ain't gonna talk a lot, but go ahead and do something out of line, and you're gonna wake up tomorrow trying to figure out who knocked you out.
Yeah.
He was that guy, and he could hoop. He was a heck of a point guard. He was a couple years older than me, but I stayed right underneath him all the time. And then Tina was younger than me, and Tina used to follow us to the park. And we used to try to get her to go home all the time. And she would just say, nope, I'm coming to the park with y'all. And then eventually it was like we started watching her, and you know how it is, like she would call, I got next. And all the fellas at the park would be, no, you can't get on the court. And then one day we finally let her on the court. She started busting people's ass. And it was like, oh shit, our little sister can hoop.
Right.
And it was like, wow. But we had, at that time it was Cedric Sabalas, it was Chris Mills, it was Kevin Ollie, obviously Jock Vaughn. Baron Davis was a young buck, like a little kid. Paul Pierce was a little kid running around the neighborhood. So we had such a plethora of different players. UCLA basketball at that time was, one of the top programs in the country. So my boys, the O'Bannon brothers and Toby Bailey and all J.R. Henderson, we just had so many good players that was in this area, and everybody knew each other. So no matter what part of LA you was from, you knew the other guy. Because Slam and Jam was our AAU at that time. Slam and Jam was Izzy Washington was the big AAU, and we all played in that. Tyus Edney. I mean, I can just keep going with names. Derek Martin, Tracy Murray and Cameron Murray. Like, there was so many guys, man, and it was and then I'm not even naming the hood dudes that didn't make it. Like, out of the hood cats, better than all of them, and I guarantee you could ask any of those people I just named, and then we can go through a list of hood cats that was better than all of us.
That's every hood, that's every city.
Every city, right? You could go through a list of dudes from the Chi that could have been pros, and so I think about the two guys on my high school team that was all city, that was player of the years. They ended up not playing. They ended up not finishing college basketball and finishing all of their stuff, and ultimately kind of fell off. But they was better than all of us, know. And so I'm so grateful that I got to experience that, and I really believe that it had a lot to do with me becoming a coach and aspiring to be a champion and a winner. The Lakers was hot when I was a kid. Showtime was everything. And so, we would go to the parades, and when you saw Magic and Bob McAdoo and Kareem and Pat Riley on these floats, it was like, I'm doing that. And so, it ended up being surreal for me winning a title with Pat and riding the float with Pat, and so it was like I actually fulfilled that dream that I had as a young kid that all started in the hood in LA.
Tell me about how you made the decision when you after you finished college and you decided to not go overseas. You could have went overseas to France, but you decided that you wanted to dive into coaching. How did you come to that decision?
It was an easy decision because two of my boys who played Division I had just came home. I was scheduled to go play in France, and two of them had just got sent home from France. Both of these guys could score in their sleep. And all I had heard about overseas was if you don't score, you get sent home. Well, I wasn't a scorer. I was a setup guy. I was a point guard. I guarded people. I was heady. I ran the team. And, and so I was like, man, am I really going to fly over to France just to go over there for a couple weeks and then get sent right back home because I'm not the kind of player that they want when I have this, even though it didn't seem like a big deal at the time, but I had this deal over in Miami where Mike Brown, who's now the top assistant with Golden State, said, man, I know this guy, Erik Spoelstra. I know this guy, Erik Spoelstra, who's the video coordinator in Miami, and he needs an intern. And so that was my decision. And my whole goal was after I do the internship, I'm going to go back and play again and try to get right back to it. I'm just going to take this year to do this and get this experience under my belt. And, 20-something years later, here I am. I never went back to playing. I just ended up diving into coaching, and it's worked out pretty well.
Guys from California, they never want to leave California and go anywhere else to school. You went to San Diego. Like, could it have been anybody else? Was you thinking about leaving the state, or you was like, nah, I got to be a little bit close to home?
I really didn't have good options out of state.
Yeah.
Like, the best school that was recruiting me was Montana.
Montana.
And I was like, I ain't freezing. I ain't gonna go freeze my ass off in Montana. But it's crazy as it sounds. It wasn't even about staying in Cali as much as it was. I just had a really good connection with the coaches. Like, when they came to visit me, I was really close to my grandfather before he passed. He was like my anchor, and he bonded with these coaches, and I bonded with them. And the coaches happen to be, I don't know if you guys know, Randy Bennett is the head coach at St. Mary's in California, who always has a good year. They always pushing Gonzaga in the WCC. And Hank Egan is the guy that coached Greg Popovich in college at Air Force and ended up working for Greg, working for Pop at San Antonio. And so those was the coaches that recruited me. And I just immediately clicked with them. And then I went on my visit, and it was like I walked into heaven. The school was beautiful. It was San Diego. The weather was perfect every day. And the dudes on the team were just good guys. And I said, this fits me. I was always a guy that was looking for the right fit. Even when I picked my high school, a lot of people were going to Crenshaw. Kevin Ollie was on my junior high team, a bunch of other guys, and they were all like, we're going to Crenshaw, we're going to Crenshaw. And I was just like, that's not – I'm not going to end up never playing. That's not a good fit for me. And so my second cousin was the head coach at Fremont, and he was like, look, I'm not going to promise you nothing, but if you come here, just know I'm going to do everything to make you a better player, and I'm going to stay on your butt, and hopefully it turns out well for you. So I went all the way to the east side and went to school over there, and it ended up being the best decision I ever made because it fit me. And so I was never that guy that was chasing the name. I was just more about, can I go somewhere where I felt like I can fit in and that I could actually have an impact?
You being a point guard, like I feel like all point guards can be head coaches. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like with a point guard, they know where everybody is on the floor. They know what the coach is thinking. Like, some point guards get to the point where they don't even need to look at the coach. They know who need to get the ball at this moment, at this time. They kind of be game managers. To transition into coaching from being a point guard, was that an easy transition?
It was
Because,
not.
Over the years, you knew so much about everything and every player, they tendencies and all that stuff. Now you in coaching, it's like you just gotta put it on the floor.
It was natural for me, because I would just remember, and I don't know if kids are getting the same treatment, but if you guys think about how point guards was treated when you was a kid, and how bad your coach used to be on them, and beating that into them, that it's their job to know everybody else's job.
Yeah.
It's their job to know the flow of the game and who should get the ball in and when to push it, when to bring it out, when to run, and you had to guard, and you had, like you had to quarterback your defense, and that's why I said, like, that transition was I felt like it was just a natural move for me. But it goes to show you the names I mentioned, like Jason Kidd, grew up in that same era, California, coach. Jacques Vaughn, head coach of the Brooklyn Nets right now.
Yeah.
Like
Kevin Ollie.
It's just Kevin Ollie. It was a natural, because they had been beaten into him that you are a coach. You just happen to have the ball in your hands.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if kids are still getting that. And the point guard position is changing so much now that it's going to be interesting to see if this next generation, if it's the point guards that become the coaches, because you're starting to see Jerry Stackhouse, Juwan Howard, guys like that don't necessarily play that position, but had a head on them and really understood how to play and had wits about them, are now starting to become great coaches in their own right. And so I think it's starting to evolve a little bit from that standpoint and moving into a different direction where you're going to start seeing all positions based on basketball IQ become head coaches.
Who was your influence? Like, I know of course you love Magic Johnson. You from LA. Magic was that guy. But I know you watched this game from so many different angles. Like, who was the ones that you grew up and you was like, man, I want to be like them. I love them. And they was the man.
You don't know right away as soon as you think about, because I was slow, I had long arms, I was light skinned, and I played point guard. Mark Jackson was like it. Like, it was like my cousin. So when I was growing up, the games on Monday, Big Monday on ESPN came out, and it was the Big East. And all they showed, and my cousin this is when VCRs had a cord. He used to record the games and make me watch Mark Jackson ad nauseum. Him and Chris Corchiani and all of those guards, Chris Smith and all those guys in the Big East, he used to beat them into me where it was like, you got to be, if you slow, you got to be like Mark Jackson. You got to know how to roll off of people. You got to do this.
Yeah.
And so I just watched Mark over and over and over again, and he ended up probably being from a patterning my game type of thing. He was probably the biggest influence, but ultimately my number one guy was Magic. It was like Magic was it, and he was a big slow point guard in a lot of ways compared to the little quick guys he was always playing against. But it just, I was lucky because my cousin was such a big influence on me. He would grab me and he would take me, and we'd sneak into the Forum through the where the concession people work. He had some boys that would sneak us in, and we go up to the top of the Forum, and I would get to watch Laker games from up there, and it just was it has such a just profound influence on me because Magic played the game with an incredible passion. and winning was so important to him. And just, I even remember that game when it was like one of his first games, and Kareem hit a sky hook to win it, and he was going crazy celebrating.
Jumping on him.
The tight hug,
yeah, I remember.
Like they just won the championship. I remember that. Hugged him so tight, all you see was
he was just squeezing him. He was like, they just, and it was like, but it just go to show you how much it meant to him, And so that stuff stuck with me, man. And so I would say Magic and Mark Jackson, for sure, were probably the guys I watched the most.
Yeah.
And who else I would say, even though he was on the enemy team, and my junior high coach used to kill me with this. He nicknamed me Little Dennis Johnson.
Because DJ. Yeah. That was our coach when we first got to the league.
Man.
That was our guy. R.I.P. DJ. That's my man right there.
Man, I love Dennis Johnson. I got to meet him a couple times. He was just the way he played the game, the way he competed on every possession. He understood how to win games with his defense. Yeah. He was a guy that my junior high coach used to beat him into me as well. Like, you got to play like that. So let's take those three guys.
Yeah, him being in me and Q, like when we first got to the Clippers, we related to him so much. He was a breath of fresh air. He meant a lot to us them years getting in LA, and just how he was, and we just respected him. And we used to always tell about the one highlight. There's a steal by DJ, hands it off there, he lays it in. Like, we used to always mess with him on that.
Awareness. Think about the awareness, man. To get in that corner and know that guy's gonna be there, man. He knew, man. He had an incredible feel for the game, and you just knew when you played against him that you was in for it that night.
Yeah, bro. I'm telling you, DJ, like D-Miles said, DJ, especially, me, because I wasn't playing my first year as much as D-Miles. So, like, he used to be the one that used to pull me to the side, talk to me, trying, keep me in it, make sure. Because me, Fizz, especially at 19, I was way worse than when you came across me. I was crazy. And DJ used to, come here, little more. Get over here. He grabbed me up and said, let me talk to you, man. He like, you tell me, like, you can't handle stuff like, you know what I'm saying? But he used to be my voice, though, for real. He used to be keeping me right, boy, because I used to be out there 19, not knowing what's going on, boy, and you're not really being told a lot. You need somebody like DJ that was there to talk to you.
Yeah, because it says a lot, too, because I do know how you are. And you got to be able to coach you have to have a lot of respect for that guy. And so it says a lot about DJ and the fact that you had a ton of respect for him to allow him to bring balance to your game and bring balance to your mind when you was probably going through your first real basketball adversity, because you was a star. You was a star from the minute I saw you as a young kid, you was a star, and so I think when you finally got to the league, it was like that moment of like, I'm not playing. Like,
that was the first time where it was like
bullshit. And so it took somebody like that, a champion, a guy who had been through all of it, somebody that was going to tell you the truth to probably get you to come back down a level and see things from a bigger picture.
He used to tell us all the time, he was like, why y'all caring about starting? They just call your name out. Y'all played a whole second quarter and the whole fourth. Like, why would you even care that they call your name out? So that was one of the things we stopped tripping about starting, because me and Q was like, fuck, we got to start in the league. And the DJ was like, man, if you play the whole second and the whole fourth, or at least the fourth quarter, like, you the man. That's them the key minutes you need to be playing.
Would you rather
and we respected it.
That's what I used to tell my young guys at New York. Would you rather finish or start if I had to give you a choice? And to a man, they would all say finish.
Yeah.
So I know it's a pride to start, and eventually you guys did become that starter and those stars. But there is something to be said about when you could bring your mind down to the right place and say, wait a minute, if I get to finish these games, who gives a damn, right? At the end of the day, I'm putting a stamp on the game. So. It just goes to show how he saw things, and how
and get out of individually. That's a sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? You sacrifice for your team. You might not have to start like how they did. Who was that? Andre Iguodala. When Steve Kerr put him on the bench, and look how that just worked out. And you putting an all-star, somebody who's been starting for a long time in this league. And it was the best thing that happened to Andre. I feel like it extended his career even longer. And he did even more by doing that,
Yeah, and they did more as a group.
As a group.
He ended up helping them win title because of taking that
sacrifice. And I thought that was very, very dope.
So tell me this: how was it when you touched down as an assistant in Atlanta? This is like your first taste of it. You started out, you was with Spo in the video room. I done heard many stories about that, but now you went back to college and got on the floor and got to really coach a little bit. Then you get your chance with Atlanta. How was that for you?
So how it went with Q is I went to Golden State for 1 year, and before I got to Atlanta, and we got fired at the end of that year. Erik Musselman was the head coach. And so that year actually really helped me get ready for Atlanta. And after we got fired, I didn't know Mike Woodson at all. I didn't know Woody at all, but my buddy that I played college ball with was working in their front office, and he said, hey, I want to introduce you to Woody. I think you'd be a good fit for these young kids that we have coming in. So I was just happy to have an opportunity to try to get a job. And, I went to meet Woody in the Salt Lake City Summer League. And after 5 minutes, we hit it off and he hired me on the spot. Told me how much I was making, how many years I was getting. I was just like, damn, this is all right. Like, I'm back at work, but it was challenging. It was a really challenging year because we weren't good. We won 13 games that year and we were losing, obviously, on purpose for the most part. And probably my most challenging coaching moment was coaching Josh Smith. And coaching Josh Smith as a 17-year-old in his hometown was tough, and we grew together. Like we went through some battles, man. And I'm glad that it happened because he made me a better coach. Like he made me, I was like you, Q, in a lot of ways when you talk about temper and just, how I'm feisty. And so it made me settle into being more of a coach. And I had to kind of get away from that. If you say something crazy to me, I'm ready to, you know what I mean? Like, I had to lose that. And so I had Josh Smith, Josh Childress, the kid named Dante Smith that came out of junior college, and Royal Ivy. They were my 4 rookies. And then Boris Diaw was in his second year. And they were my responsibility.
That was a young core.
And so for me, it ended up being like the perfect introduction into how to develop players, how to connect with guys, how to keep guys' minds in it when they're not playing well or they're not playing at all, like DJ did for you. And so that time for me was an awesome time. And we got to see that team grow. We added Joe Johnson, which ended up being huge. ISO got his name during that Boston finals when he was in Boston series where he was cooking them boys. And we added Mike Bibby to that team. Even though he was later on in his career, he was huge for us.
Al Horford.
Al Horford. We drafted Al Horford, and we had T. Lue for a few years in there, who was one of my favorite people to ever coach. And so, for me, it was a great education that prepared me for my next move, which was to Miami.
The first championship season that y'all had, to actually see a season from starting from training camp to see it unfold and get the ultimate goal, how was it to see a whole season and be a part of that and go to a championship?
It was amazing, D, but I tell you, it started in the year that we lost.
The year before, y'all got everybody?
We went to the end and played against Dallas and lost. And that had a lot to do with us winning the next 2. Because one, the pain is just misery. I mean, I can't even explain the pain of getting all the way to the end and falling short. It's just like, it's really one of the most miserable feelings I've ever felt in my life, next to losing a loved one. And so the next year coming in, it was a lockout, and which made it even more pain because we were all like, we got to get back. Like, we coming back. And to see how that team hit the ground running and just to see their level of commitment and their willing to sacrifice. And I've told the story a lot, but I just really believe it was the key to us taking the next step. It was, D Wade, came to me before practice one day and was like, listen, I'm going to tell this dude that it's his team, because he obviously doesn't see that it is his. And so I think he needs to hear it from me. because he's giving me too much respect. He's like, this dude's the best player in the world. This is his now. And so I said, hey, lay it on him. You know, I think it'll help him. And sure enough, Bron comes in the gym. We're shooting free throws. It's just us three in the gym. And D-Wade kind of looks at me, and Bron shoots, and he holds the ball, and he goes, man, this is yours. And Bron kind of looked at him like he didn't know what he was talking about at first. And he was like, Bron, this is your team. He was like, I'm here to help you now. He was like, yeah. And, you know, D always clowning. He was like, yes, this is always going to be Wade County. Don't forget it. This is Wade County. He said, but at the end of the day, for the rest of the time we here together, this is your team. And I'm going to follow you, and I'm going to support you. And it was like, you could just see it like a weight was taken off of Bron. And that year, if you go back and watch some of the games he had, he exploded. It was like you finally saw him playing with a free mind, because we all have seen him play with a heavy mind, with a clouded brain, and always wondering, like, if I don't win and what's going to happen if I don't succeed. And he finally let all of that go. And I really believe that conversation that day was the key to everything. And when he did that, and I think that year too, Chris Bosh got hurt, and we had to start playing Shane Battier at the 4, because it was his best position, but we kept force feeding him at the 3. And at that point in Shane's career, the 3 was gone. Like, it was time for him to become that space 4. And so by doing that, we got our smartest players on the court. We moved CB to the 5, and it just, like, our whole team exploded that year. So to see the evolution from start to finish of how things took place for us to get to that point, it was something I'll never forget. And like I always tell people this, like, yeah, we coach you guys, and we try to teach you everything we know and all of that. But I'm telling you, you guys teach us more than we teach you. Because most of the decisions we make and most of the things we come up with as coaches are things that we're getting because we're watching how you play and how you respond and how you react and how you execute, and what's your strengths and what's your weaknesses. And so we end up learning a lot more from y'all. And so, you know, that team ended up teaching us so much, and we just ended up figuring out. And the biggest thing, I think, you know, ultimately to our success was Spo. Spo, you know, from a technical standpoint, from a tactician standpoint, you know, let go of the old Heat ways and just saying, hey, this is how we're going to do it, and this is it. Because the Heat, we never switched. We wouldn't switch anything. Like, that was the easy way out back in the day, right? Offensively, we always ran our big into the strong side post in the early offense. Well, those two things Spo got away from. Spo said, nope, we got to keep that block open, and we got to give D and Bron all the space in the world to attack. And defensively, we got all of these guys that's between 6'5" and 7 feet that's athletic. Let's start switching.
Switch everything.
And that ended up suffocating. Yeah, we ended up suffocating people. And that's why I said Chris Bosh was so important, and Shane at the 4 was so important. It didn't matter who we was gonna play that year. Like, we was gonna win that year, and it just happened to be young KD and young Russell and a young James Harden. And you know, it was the time.
I talk about that all the time, the fact, like, how huge that was for somebody like D-Wade, because, you know, I was there obviously the year before they you know, joined up, and you coaching them, you saw how, you know, they were highly competitive against each other, and, you know, they same draft class and all this, and every time they play it, they go on to war trying to beat each other. So for D-Wade to say, okay, sit back and say, I'm going to bring this guy who I know once he get here, it's going to basically be his thing. And for him to be that selfless and unselfish to make that act, and then to go further after, like with the story you just told, to sit there and lay it down when he see it's not going the way it should be, to have the, you know, awareness to say, look, man, this is what it is, and have the, like I said again, the unselfishness to say, I'm handing you the keys to my Bentley, and I'm saying it's yours. You know what I'm saying? I've given you the keys to my whip and my car, and saying, here. That's like, that was huge. And for you to, you know, say that story like that, that definitely highlights that it wouldn't have worked without him doing that.
No doubt. And when you was there, D-Wade arguably was the MVP of the league.
That's what I'm saying. Like, to see them be,
and he outplayed Bron most times that they went head up.
They
which was crazy.
That's my point.
And so you're exactly right. Like for him to check his ego and to be able to say, because D, and what it told me was D was much more about winning than personal stuff. That's when it really, really hit me that winning was the most important thing to him. And his legacy as a winner was more important to him than having stats or being the man or all of this other stuff. Just by him doing those little acts that no one really got to see, but we got to witness it on a daily basis. It would have never worked if he didn't take that step back.
Yeah.
And at least just verbalize it to LeBron. Now, playing wise, D was still that same dude. He was a killer.
Oh, trust me.
He was killing people. He was putting on shows a lot of nights, but he just understood that Bron needed to hear that from him to really understand that he don't have to look over his shoulder no more and wonder if he shoots this pull-up three on the break, his deep gonna make 20 paces. Or any of that,
And the other thing I laughed at a lot, because me, I had just been there, so I knew certain things about, at least the guys that were there when I was there, from an organizational standpoint. So I would be laughing when they would be, like you said, the first year or so it was a struggle, and there would be all these rumors like is they gonna fire Spo? I'm like, y'all tripping. Y'all tripping. Like, they don't even know it. They don't even know what it is right now. Like, now, obviously, years later, in hindsight, they see how great of a coach. But I knew. Because, like, you saw how that was what I always respected about Spo. He wasn't a coach who shied away from anything. He didn't care about conflict. He didn't care about dialogue. He had an open door. Like, you got an opinion, I'm going to listen, and then I'm not going to disrespect you. But if I don't agree with it, I'm going to go back, and I don't care about getting fired. Like, Fizz, me and Spo used to get into it. But it was always respectful. He knew that I was all about winning, so he respected me in that statement. He allowed me to do what I did.
Yep, and that's where Spo, he had a special temperament, and I really learned from him. That was one of the few things I learned from him. But Spo was the kind of guy who was just about, can we get to the right answer? He didn't care whose answer it was.
Right.
He wasn't about me, and he didn't even, if he could have never did an interview on camera, he would have been happy with that. Like that's how Spo was. But he was about, let's get to the right answer. What's best for the group? And so he knew it was going to be days where a player had an opinion about how we should do something, or a player was going to have a certain energy or passion towards him that they was going to have to go at it a little bit. And he would be able to deal with that. But then, once it was all done, he'd go, Fizz, go talk to Q. When it was over with, make sure everything good. And it got to a point where he didn't even have to do that with you guys anymore, because you guys had built such a trust that he knew it was over in that moment. He knew, like, okay, me and Q disagreed. We may have even yelled at each other a little bit. That's done now. We gotta go win the game, And it was the same thing, like, and I think that was, for LeBron, it was good for LeBron, because, LeBron had to hear the truth. He had to conform to the Heat way, and we couldn't bend to his way. And that was really important. That Spo was there for him. Even though we lost that first year, it was little stuff that would take place that was really cool. Like, I remember LeBron was hot about something, that was kind of counter to our culture. Something, I don't know if it was some guys he wanted to come in the locker room, or I forgot what it was, because we didn't let nobody in the building. And so it was something like that. And I just remember walking through the locker room, and LeBron was saying something. He was talking to a couple guys, and the locker room was empty. It was just UD and D Wade. And both of them, as I was passing through, both go, nah, bruh. Nah, we don't do it like that here. This is our space. You want to hang out with them, you do it over there. But this is how we do it here. When we come here, this is just for us. And UD, like, it's all hood there. So it was like, when he finally speak up, that's it. Like, and UD bleeds the culture. Like, UD is the black and red. He is, if you want a picture of a guy in the definition of Heat, it's Udonis Haslem. And so, when Bron started to see, wait a minute, so Pat's telling me this, Spo's telling me this, and now my main D-Wade and UD is telling me this, I ain't got nowhere to go. I got to buy into this. And so I really think that's why Miami was the absolute best place for him to go get his college education, because he needed people that was going to say no to him to really get him to understand what winning was. And once he got those 4 years of college in with us, he took it back to Cleveland, and you saw he ended up winning it there. But he had an understanding now of what were non-negotiable, and ended up making him a better player.
I could visibly see that at those different points of the season. And then still knowing different guys and talking to different guys, I could tell. But it was like you said, it was like I knew that the culture wasn't going to bend. They weren't going. I already knew what it was, and I was like, this is going to be interesting to see. And so, like you say, at them different little points of the year. But like I said, that was one of the things that why I respected Spo so much. Like, you know what I'm saying? I saw that from day one. Like, we had J.O., who was a dominant personality. He didn't back down to J.O. He treated J.O., D-Wade. He treated everybody the same. And it was like, when you know, as players, when we see that, me as a player, I always identified and respected, and I was attracted and drawn to that. And so when I saw that, that was like, okay, nah, I can rock with this dude. And like to this day, like I had a great relationship with Spo. We built I still talk to him on Father's Day and different days. And like one of my favorite coaches that I ever played for, and I only played 1 year.
He feels the same way about you. I swear to God. I can't tell you how many times he'll bring your name up in just random conversations because one, for us, the thing that we respected most out of you was how you came in the summer and gave yourself over to the program. Yeah. Like, you was like, look, it ain't been going great where I was at. I need to kind of reboot myself. A lot of dudes won't check your ego. You had already had a great career. But you said, you know what? I got to get back into a place that's going to get me right. Yeah. And you committed yourself to Miami in the summer. And it was hot as hell. And I remember days Q running wall to wall. And when he was done, he'd run over to the trash can and put his
whole head in that joint. You tell us
that. Oh, yeah. I was there watching it. Trust me. And then he'd get back up. He'd get back on the line. Go again. How much weight did you lose that summer? I mean,
I lost 47 pounds in 5 weeks.
Think about that.
And like 11% body fat. It was crazy.
It was awesome to watch the commitment on his end to come in every single day and put himself through that. And we was there every day with him. It was like I said, when I tell you me and Q was together every single day, we was together every single day. Whether it was going to eat, whether it was in the gym, it didn't matter. We was together. Like, it was like watching hoop. We was doing something together during that day. And I just watched him. And you ended up getting a 3-year deal after that. Yeah. When everybody was supposedly saying that you were done and all of this other stuff. You ended up getting a 3-year contract with Orlando, right? Yeah. I think it was Orlando. So it just goes to show you, one, it reflects on your character, but I really think you and Spo connected through that work and through commitment and preparation. And, that's Spo's DNA. Spo always say, maybe I ain't the X's and O's guy, or this guy. He was like, but I'm going to prepare. I'm going to outwork you. Like, I remember him telling the team in the finals, this is the coolest thing. He said, we were playing the Spurs, and we were down 1 game to them the year we beat them. And we going to do our film in San Antonio. And he goes, you know what, fellas? He goes, we've been trying to beat Bobby Fischer at chess. He was like, we're not going to beat Bobby Fischer at chess. He was like, we're going to slap that effing chessboard off the table and we're going to make this a UFC fight. And that's what it turned into. We just said, we can't beat the Spurs at chess. That's not, these dudes are passing without looking. We said, we got to make this a brawl. It was Spo saying, we're going to make this a cage fight. We're going to stop trying to play chess. We're going to make this a cage fight. And it changed the whole series.
That's when you get vigorous and get to looking at you.
And for me, I'm biased, obviously. But, I was lucky enough I was 23 when I met Spo. Spo was 25. And we was working in the video room as the bottom of the barrel guys. And so for me to be brought back there 12 years later by this guy when he gets his head coaching gig, and then for us to be able to go on and do everything that we did together, I just got so much respect for him and our friendship and just what he's done for me as a person and just as a coach. Like, he's added probably more to me than any one person in my basketball life.
A brother for life.
I've said it just like I told you, Fizz, when you called, like when I went to work for Stan. It was only it's only a handful of people that I would have went and like even now with me being away from coaching and stuff like that, I'll never say never, but like Spo was somebody who when he called and he was calling you remember when you called me when you got to Memphis and I was like, Fizz, you know you my dog. I was like, but I just can't do it. I was like, I can't leave right now. I gotta be home. Yeah, it wasn't so, and it was the same thing with Spo. Like when you told me, because I was laughing. You called me after I had got the job with Stan in Detroit. Yep. You was like, dude. You was like, Spo losing his mind right now. I was like, what you mean? You was like, then Spo called me. He was like, dude, I was like, I didn't have the idea that I was about to be coaching and stuff like that. So it was like,
he was hot. He was hot. He was like, Stan stole my guy. He stole my guy. And it's funny because like, and I don't know what it is, but you know, he and I both, we it's just this weird thing with you Chicago cats. We bond with y'all for some reason. Like Juwan, you, Tony, like I got such close relationships with all of you dudes out of Chicago. It's just very few times that a dude comes out of there where I'm like, I don't like him. You know what I mean? Like, but it's most of you guys, some of my closest basketball friends, some of my best friends for the rest of my life. You know, Juwan Howard is a dude that if he called me at 4 a.m, whatever he is, there. Look, I am there. You know, same with you.
That's the OG.
It's like, and here's the funny thing. This is what's funny now is, so we moved to LA and we were living in Sherman Oaks for a little bit. D-Wade lives 5 minutes up the road, him and Gabby. This is just recent. They moved out here to where we are now. My wife goes, you ready to buy a place? I'm like, yeah, let's just do it. Let's just pull the trigger and buy a place. We live an exit away from him now. So I'm like, dude, we can't get away from each other.
Get away from each other.
But it's cool because it's like with Q, it's like it's very few people I can actually sit around with and just be with them. And, you know, they don't want nothing from me. I don't want nothing from them. We just love.
Enjoy
and we
the
like
time.
the same stuff and we laugh at the same stuff. And that's D-Wade for me. Like, that's my dude, you know what I mean? And so for him to be this close to me, you know, and me being so close to his kids and like Gab, we used to play against her high school. I knew Gab when she was 16, 17 years old.
Yeah.
So it's just so much love. I knew Gab way before I knew D. When we first started dating, Gab came up to me and hugged me and he like, how you know him? You know, like, fool, this is my brother. Like, you know, like, we've been together since we was kids, you know, and so for us now to be neighbors, basically, you know, his house is obviously a lot bigger than mine, but we are neighbors for the most part. But it's really cool. And you Chicago cats is always like, I always got love for y'all.
I want you to speak up on like how proud. This is one of my favorite players ever. I'm so proud of this dude. Like, how proud are you of Udonis Haslem to see like his whole career, how he's like Mr. Miami. He is still Wade County, but like the mayor of the joint.
That's his nickname.
Yeah. But I'm so proud of Udonis Haslem, the man he become. His body. Remember, he was the little chubby kid with the braids. Like, just who he is now. Like, just speak up on Udonis, because, you know, we got a big respect for Udonis and like what he do and what he brings to the table.
He you know, it's certain dudes that you could put in the room together and it's going to be okay. And he's one of them dudes, you know, if you a tough dude and you about the real stuff, you can be in the room with him. You know, I think about his comment when they got Jimmy Butler, where he said what do you want him to do when you put a dog in a room full of cats? He gonna eat the cats. You brought him to a place now, he in a room full of dogs, they all gonna run as a pack. Yeah. And it's true. And and he gonna test you. He gonna make sure that you a dog so that you can be in that room with him. And, you know, to watch him as a man evolve into this incredible businessman and this community leader and this guy who now is really he's leading the front, you know, from the front on a lot of social issues in Miami right now, in a way that you can't help but to respect it. You see his body of work, you know the type of guy he is. He isn't a guy that was blessed with the super hops or the pure jump shot or all of this stuff. He wasn't drafted. You know, he basically was a walk-on in the league. Yeah, and took his spot in the league. And now here he is still in the NBA locker room. I think he got I think he's
oldest player in the league
he's gonna be
right
like
now.
60, and he's gonna be like the 15th man on the bench.
Still ready to put an elbow into somebody.
You could put him in the game right now. It's just that they got a young team and a lot of, they're young, talented, and all of that stuff. But if somebody went down and they needed UD to play minutes, UD would fill in right away and he was a huge part of us winning. Like, he had games where he's against Indiana and different people where he saved us.
Yeah.
But we thought, damn, this is on the brink. Like, we might get knocked off right now. Udonis was the dude that was coming through saving us, or he was the guy sending that message. Like, he's the last of a dying breed. He's the dude that when Tyler Hansbrough busted D-Wade's head, 2 plays later, Hansbrough came down and Udonis busted his head.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right? And there ain't many of those dudes left that's going to go out there and keep it real. And so, I just think that, personally for me, who he is, it's a lot like my relationship with Q. Like, UD can be anywhere in this world. And if he called and said, Fizz, I need you, be there. And here's the crazy part. I've had moments and run-ins in Miami where I thought, you know what? It's about to go down. Like, I'm really about to be in something. Let me call UD.
Right away.
It was over. It was over. That's how tied in and how respected he is in Miami, is that somebody messing with you, that's gonna be over quick, and he would be there for you whenever you called him in a moment's notice. Like, it was like automatic. Like, you didn't have to ask twice for him. You know what I mean? And so
that's that guy.
And you know what you did. Like, you always gonna get the truth. I just like guys. I love guys that and I respect guys that you may not like what I'm gonna say to you, but it's gonna be the truth because I love you.
And I'm gonna look you dead in your face and say it.
Yeah, and it was just like he was raw, and we had raw conversations. I remember one night, he wasn't happy about his role on the team, and me, him, Pat, and Spo sat up in the office until like 3 a.m. after a game, going back and forth, and we all said the real stuff to each other face to face. And by the end of it, we was all teary-eyed and like, but it was real, and we just hugged each other. And he looked at us and he said, y'all know, if y'all was caught up in the alley somewhere at 3 a.m, I'd be there. And none of us had a doubt of what he was saying. And so it's a reason you guys like you respect a guy like Udonis, because you guys are cut from that same cloth. You come from that same element. You was tested as a kid where you grew up in the most harshest conditions, and you made it out of that to thrive. And Udonis came from Liberty City. Like, if he watched this, he gonna hate that I'm calling him Udonis. He don't like me when people but I like to say it just to piss him off. And but he comes from Liberty City, man, and y'all know that's one of the toughest areas in the country. And so for him to become the man he is, the leader that he's become, and the thriving businessman, I can't say pride because it implicate that I had something to do with it, but it makes me happy on the inside to see a dude like that win. You root for guys like that.
So you spoke about, finally leaving the nest and leaving Miami. How was that for you, leaving and getting, achieving a dream, obviously being you got to be the head coach in the NBA, and how was that, your first experience as a head coach in Memphis?
Your own
shit.
It was scary, to be honest with you. Nerve-wracking, because I didn't have that security blanket no more. It was all on me to make these decisions.
Yeah.
And I knew I was coming to a super veteran team that had already had success. Mike Conley, Marc Gasol, Zebo, who another dude that fit into that cloth that we always talk about.
Yeah.
And Tony Allen, another dude that fit into that cloth. And so I knew that everybody was worried about could I coach Zebo and Tony? And I knew that was already done. Zebo hang out with my boys here in the neighborhood in LA. So I knew that was a done deal. Me and Zebo had a great relationship. And then going back to the whole Chicago thing, I knew Tony Allen and I was going to click on all cylinders. It got to a point that I was playing Tony too many minutes. He came in, he was like, Coach, my knee, man, you playing me more minutes than I played in 3 years. He was like, I said, damn, Tony, I didn't know I was going to have a player come in and tell me I'm playing him 2 months. He was like, oh, he was like, save me for the end, Coach, save me. So I knew that part was going to be taken care of. And so it was just a matter of how do I get, the toughest decision for me was how do I get Mike Conley to become what he could really be without losing Marc Gasol's special talent and even evolving him into being more. And so, and at the same time, I got to bring this culture that I know, genuinely bring it. It can't be me repeating just phrases and words from the Heat, but it has to be something that's genuine to me, but at the same time, respecting the grit and grind culture that they had already built. So it was a real delicate walk on how to make it all work together. And, it wasn't always smooth, but those dudes, they played hard. They competed hard for me. I think the toughest thing that year for us was, we ended up signing Chandler Parsons to a big contract, and I couldn't get him on the court.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was the missing piece for us. If we would have had that big wing like you, D Miles, like a big swing 3-man that could play basically point from the 3, that would have opened our team up. We would have been deadly then. And but we still ended up being a really good team. Mark evolved into this big-time 3-point shooter. Mike Conley averaged 22 a night for me after averaging 15, 16 a night, his career. And obviously, and here's the biggest key to it. You talk about sacrifices. Zebo. I went to Zebo, and these are the hard conversations you got to have with guys, and you can't be afraid to have these talks with them. But I brought Zebo into the office after preseason, and I said, Zebo, I think the best thing for you and for us is for you to come off the bench. Yeah. And I know you have never done that. I said, but listen to my reasoning before you would give me your answer.
Yeah.
I said, you're going to get the same amount of touches. I'm going to move you to the 5. So you're going to be playing against slower guys.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be bringing you off the bench, so you're not even playing against starting talent.
The starting 5s, yeah.
I said, let's make it a goal that you are 6th man of the year this year. And Zebo looked at me. He said, Coach, you didn't have to explain all that, man. He said, I'm with you. He was like, I'm with you.
That's bad.
Zebo came into my office one game. We lost to Portland, and it was late. And I didn't have him in the game because I wanted to be able to switch more. And Zebo came in, and he said, Coach, I know I'm not great with switching and all of that. He said, but I'll make sure we win games at the end. He was like, I want to finish games. I said, deal. We shook hands on it. From that point on, the only conversations was laughter with Zebo. He would come in, he'd be having shoes untied, walking around like he had bad feet. And I'd yell over and spoke across the gym, your ass is still practicing. He like, I know. And he laced him up. And then, we got into the playoffs, and we played the Spurs that year. And we had lost the first 2 games, bringing him off the bench. And he came to the back of the plane and sat with me. We started watching film, and I just looked at him, and I said, you starting the next game, right? And he was like, whatever you want, Coach. I ended up starting him. We won. We tied the series 2-2. Obviously we ended up losing the series, but he was just, you're talking about a joy to coach, man. He made my life so easy. But it was scary going into that, environment, knowing that they had already had something there, that was established, even though it was on the tail end, it was still a lot of pride in that, and the city was behind that, and the city reflected that. And I couldn't come in there just being Mr. Heat, and this is how we're going to do this, and this how. So I still had to embrace what they had already established. And so it was good for me to have to go through that and learn from that, and it made me a better coach because of it.
Tell me about how was that for you, your experience being a head coach of the New York Knicks and the Mecca. How was that for you?
In the guard.
I remember calling you and telling you congrats and just being like, congrats, bro.
It was for me.
Get ready.
It was like again, when you're a basketball historian and enthusiast, like to get that job was just like a dream for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm following the footsteps of my mentor, Pat Riley, and the Clyde Frazier's and all. It was just like, it was mind blowing. And what that meant to my mom, who was a basketball junkie in her own right, and
to be able to bring her to that press conference in Madison Square Garden, and that it's something I'll never forget. And although it didn't go the way I would have wanted it to go, I wouldn't have done it any different. Like I wouldn't have traded that experience to say that I did that and was a part of that for nothing. Like it was. Q, you played in there, and it's just like you guys. When you went in there as an opposing player, it was like I got a ball. Like you look around front row, and you like they go Spike, and they go Adam Sandler, and they go Tracy Morgan, and like you just I got a hoop, like I got a ball, and my thing was for me, it was kind of like if I couldn't be the head coach of the Lakers or the Celtics, it had to be the Knicks. Like it was one of those, like I wanted to one day say that I coached for one of these legendary organizations, and so when that opportunity came, as crazy as it was, I was lucky enough to have like 5 teams that was really serious about me, during that time. And it was just like, man,
I gotta choose it. I gotta try.
I'm a hitter. I'm going for the fifth on this one. Like I'm swinging.
You swinging for the fifth? Yeah, I gotta try.
I can't go with the safe base hit on this one. Like
I might be the chosen one for this.
This the white whale. This the white whale.
Going in, it was a tough job. Like it was
of course.
It was a difficult job. A lot of people had crashed and burned, and I knew I was taking on a monster. And so I mentally prepared myself for it and just said, whatever comes my way, whether it's the media killing me or ex-players or whatever, the fans, like deal with it. Like you've been through harder stuff than this. The bottom line is you standing in the garden getting to coach every single night. And, for the most part, is even though we stunk, I had incredible support from the fans, like unbelievable support. You got a couple of dudes here and there that might send your wife a tweet or something crazy like that. But at the end of the day, man, every time I walked in that arena, man, fans was like 100. And because I always was honest with the fan base. Like I didn't try to sugarcoat stuff. I never blamed the players for what was going on around us. Like, I always just told it how it was, and I think New York fans appreciated that. Like that, I wasn't there bullshitting them. I was there just trying to give them this, the deal. Ultimately, we just didn't win enough games, and as a coach, I take ownership of that. That's
right.
I ain't putting that on my players. I take ownership of that, and so if they had the decision to change me out, so be it. But I wasn't putting it on the front office, and I wasn't putting it on the players or the owner and all of that other stuff that other people want to do and make it about. And I appreciate people having my back. But at the end of the day, I'm the coach. And I take ownership for how that team performs. And my team wasn't performing at a high enough level at the rate that the team wanted it to play at. So, I'm grateful that they gave me the opportunity. I'm just hoping that I didn't lose so many games that I don't get to sit in that seat again. Because I really felt like I can do it. Memphis, I proved that I can do it. And I just want that opportunity again because I just learned after that situation, I learned so much more that I think I got a lot to give to the next job that I get. Now, if I can get just the right pieces in place, boy, let me get a bunch of y'all running around out there and then see what happens. When I get me some junkyard dogs, and a whole team full of them and see what happens. I had some puppies in New York. They weren't junkyard dogs yet, but I had some good young pieces. I'm telling you, the kid Mitchell Robinson, Kevin Knox, and R.J. Barrett, those kids are going to end up being players in this league. They're just babies, though. Like, this league.
Sometimes it takes time. Everybody don't just come fall in the dough just killing. Sometimes you got to look at guys like Chauncey. It took a minute, and he was special, though. And he was special, though, once he was special. So you can't, lay down on none of those guys.
So I think they're in a good position to do something well. Hopefully they hired a guy that can get them over the hump. And, again, it's going to come back to that culture. Can everybody stay tight and hold strong when media starts poking at it or agents start poking at it or whoever, fan base starts booing somebody? It's like that's when you got to hold tight and really stick together. And so, I know Leon Rose well. He's a good dude. He's smart as hell. He's got his hands full, but that's the challenge you want. You don't want to just hand it to you, right? You want to at least work for some of that and have to earn it. And so I think they got a good thing going over there, and I'm rooting for them.
With everything that's going on in the world and now so many athletes want to do so much more, with the like police reform and all the stuff that's going on with the police. What's some of the ideas or some of the thoughts that you had come across your head of what athletes can do? Because they talking about putting certain things, names on the back of the jerseys. It's so much stuff. People want to get on the plane, but people don't really know what to do. Like even with us, we don't. You can talk about it, but now it's at a point where you don't want to just talk. You want to actually physically just be doing something.
Well, I think it starts with educating yourself. You know, I think that's where, you know, all of us are outraged, right? And let's be real, all three of us have watched this shit go on our whole lives and have been victims of this shit our whole lives. It didn't matter if you played in the league or if you got money or you so-called made it. If the police pulled you over, you was nervous and they was going to treat you the same when you was in the hood broke. So, you know, it's outrageous to see this still going on, what happened to George Floyd and all of these other guys along the way, and women. And so I think the key is, if you really want to impact change, is you have to take the time to educate yourself on what changes things. I respect the fact that the players is going to put names on their jerseys and messages and all. That ain't going to do shit. I'm going to be real about it. That ain't going to change shit. All right? What's going to change stuff is when players actively get involved with getting people out to vote.
Right.
And actively get to their communities and educate people on how to register to vote, how to do absentee voting, where they can go to do early voting. You know,
not just voting, but being educated on who you voting for. Who are these candidates? What are they trying to do in your community? Not just going and clicking a name. Like, that's the key.
And you got to know, and so that's where I think athletes can really use their platform in a real substantial way. Is through first them educating themselves on this stuff, but then taking that education back to their communities and taking that time to educate their community, because the community's gonna listen. Y'all know that. Every time you went back home and did an event or anything like that, the whole hood showed up.
Yep.
So if you say this is what we're doing, they gonna do it. And so that's where I think players could really take, just not just putting names and messages on their jerseys, in their platform now, to use it as an educational tool to not only educate, but also I think what's really important is we have to acknowledge our history. What has happened before this? We gotta the only way you heal is if you acknowledge, right? And I've learned that in marriage. Like, I do something to hurt my wife's feelings. If I keep moving on through my day like nothing's happened and keep moving on, that pain is still gonna be there, and you ain't moving forward. And she gonna somehow, some way, it's gonna come out, right? So you have to acknowledge the pain as a community first, and that's why, again, we talk about the Heat. You see some of Spo's quotes and some of UD's quotes. A lot of it is about reflection on what happened in Miami in the past. Because if you don't acknowledge that, how can you fix what's moving forward? So you got to educate yourself on your history, on what's happened and where you from. You got to educate yourself on law. You got to educate yourself on voting. And then once you have that knowledge, take that big platform that all these guys have now and spread that knowledge. Spread that education, inspire people to get active, inspire people to get involved. And the cool part about this generation right now is they don't need a lot of motivation.
Yeah, they active.
Need direction.
They
right?
active. Yep.
They need guidance. You know, we don't necessarily have a Dr. King right now of this generation that's just funneling the movement, or Malcolm X that's just funneling the movement.
Right.
You know, we got a lot of leaders here and there and people that's doing stuff, and it's not to knock the leadership. But because the world is so big now because of social media, athletes now are starting to take those kind of seats, and they have to understand the power of that platform. And I really believe through education, changes could really, really start to shift what's going on. Otherwise, it's just going to stay the same. Like you can see even right now, the Senate is BSing on passing any kind of police reform now. They're trying to just sugarcoat around the edges and come up with something that's going to pacify us. But at the end of the day, that's not going to get nothing done. These cops is going to feel like they're empowered to treat us anyway, like treat us like animals. You know, and if you look at that scene, that dude kneeling on his neck if anybody knows, if you grew up being a hunter or you went hunting with your grandpops or your dad or whoever, that's the hunting picture. That's what they do on the deer. And that man kneeled on his neck like he was a dead deer. Like he was taking his picture while people was and people he knew he was being video recorded.
He didn't give a fuck at all.
The look on his the arrogant look on his face sums it up. Like, I know you doing this, and then I don't care, and you can't do nothing about it. And I'm not scared that you doing it. I'm not gonna stop. I'm not changing it up and making it look like I'm not doing this. I'm doing exactly what I'm doing, and I don't care that you got a camera.
The last time I seen that look, Q, I was on safari in Africa with my wife, and I saw a lion kill a hyena. And lions don't kill hyenas for food. They kill hyenas to let them know you ain't welcome around here. And I watched this lion just stare at everybody taking pictures. All these Jeeps was around taking pictures. And this lion held this hyena in his mouth, and he just stood and looked like, and this could be you. Like, it was that kind of look. And this could be you if you ain't careful. And so, you know, I like that everybody's starting to speak out, and all of these people are trying to figure out a way to get involved. But the number one thing we got to do is educate ourselves, educate our communities, and then actively get people moving into voting. They got to become participants in the voting process, or we're going to keep getting the same bullshit leaders.
With the NBA restarting and all of that, and you hearing all of the talk and the back and forth about, you know, whether they should play and whether this is an opportunity to use the platform, or is this like something of a distraction? Like, what's your take on it? I feel like that this is an opportunity. I feel like none of these guys individually will have LeBron is as big as it gets. I still feel like him by himself, he doesn't do what he can do with the sum. Like, if they all are gonna be down here in Orlando, I feel like they can use that as a format to come together to send whatever messages when they're not playing, as well as whatever they're gonna do on the court with the jerseys and the names and all. Like, that's cool. I'm with you on that a little bit, the way I see that. But I'm saying, like, as far as really getting together and using a platform together and becoming a bigger fist than just the one finger that they have as individuals on their platforms, I feel like they can really make a difference. What's your opinion on that? Is it an opportunity or a distraction?
No, I think it's a total opportunity. I think because you got so many players that this has happened to them throughout their lives. The league is 77% African American, right? So most of these players have either experienced this or know somebody that has experienced this type of stuff. And so, one, I think that the commissioner is the best in the business, and he's going to make sure that he's going to create the safest possible environment for these guys. Like, I just know that. He's going to create that bubble for them. Not to say that somebody won't get COVID or whatever. At the same time, I just think he's going to create the absolute safest possible environment for them to do this. But two, I think that this is an incredible opportunity for players to truly get the message out on the things that need to be changed and how they should be changed. You know, the same thing we was just talking about. I think the messaging is great. Like I said, the names on the jerseys, that's fine. I think they're going to have some stuff on the court. That's going to be great to bring attention to it. But then I think it's going to be the dialogue that we see take place, the interview processes. You know, some of the team meetings we may be involved in and allowed to see in, because I really think the league is going to be a little more dynamic in access now. Yeah. Because you're not going to get to go to the games. They're going to be they're going to do some cool stuff to where you get to see different things taking place that the normal fan probably don't normally get to see.
Yeah, they don't got to worry about the crowd no more. They got to just concentrate on the players in the game.
Yeah, and I just think that the whole league is behind this movement, right? This isn't like, you know, how the NFL was, you know, when Cap first kneeled, and I don't even know if they've really evolved past that since, even though Roger Goodell came out and did his hostage statement. You know, he looked like a hostage there when he was saying,
read it.
Right, but we know for a fact that from the top of our league all the way through, that everybody is behind this, and you know, so I think that this is going to be a great opportunity to get the messaging out and really to kind of put on display the action steps that everybody's going to take to impact change. I'm part of the committee now with the Coaches Association with Pop and Doc Rivers and Steve Kerr and Lloyd Pierce, it's like JB Bickerstaff, and it's a few of us, and you know, we get together and talk, and then we kind of give the information to the other 30 coaches. And I can tell you from a coaching standpoint, we are lit. Like we are ready to go. Like, and we're doing it like how coaches would. We're taking the time. We're having the best of the best civil rights leaders and educators speak to our group and talk to us about the history of things, what things can be done to help, how can we collaborate and come together to make lasting change. Like, you know, because that's our nature, and our whole agenda is let's stay in our lane. What are coaches? Coaches are educators. Coaches are leaders. Coaches are team builders. So everything we do is going to be around that with our community. And so we're going to do action steps. You can see Lloyd Pierce now, they got they're going to use Atlanta's arena now for early voting.
Yeah.
You know, it's an action step. So now people got a safe, efficient way, a trustworthy way to go vote without all the BS that we saw in Georgia a few weeks ago where they suppressed people's votes, right? And so that's an action step. And so how many of us can put together action steps that create something real, you know, and not just a tweet or not just some words, hey, it's BS. That's great. And everybody should say that. Yeah. What are you doing? You know, what are you doing?
That's what it is. You right now it's so much going on, and like them kids, we don't got no 80. Them kids is 30s from 90. If you born in 90, you 30 years old. You ain't seen what happened in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. But right now we at a point where it ain't about just talking. Everybody, it's time to do something. It's time to do something.
And the thing is, like, if I could say anything, like, people shouldn't feel like they have to hit the home run.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody ain't the home run hitter. Everybody ain't the guy that's up, you know, up.
This ain't your role.
You know, you stay in your lane, play your role, you know, but do it well. Star in your role. Figure out a way to impact, you know, whether it's small or big, but do it well and do it in a way that it can last, because we're fighting against something that was put in place to keep us where we are.
Yeah.
Like, that's what people don't realize in a lot of ways. This whole system of government and how Black people have been treated, it was actually put in place so that we don't thrive. It wasn't built for us to thrive. It wasn't built for us to have success. It was actually built to keep us in our place. And so we have to really, really work hard to break this thing down. You know, this isn't some just one big outrage and all of a sudden it's going to happen. Dr. King couldn't get it done. Like, he got some stuff changed, but he couldn't. This is the greatest leader of our time, right? We're talking about a man who was on the front lines with John Lewis and Jesse Jackson, and they was out there for real marching and doing it without no nonsense, and taking hits upside the head and showing up the next day. And so the fact that they couldn't get that full global shift, it goes to show you how deep-rooted this system is, how deep-rooted systematic racism and white supremacy is. And so the fact that now we have the numbers and we have the people in place in power positions that can actually make change, now it's just a matter of getting out there and doing it. And if we're not, we're cheating our kids. You know, that's how I look at it. Our kids is going to be getting their ass beat by the police if we don't do something about it.
If we don't do something right now.
You know, I went through, I was in the LA riots. You know, I was in the middle of that in 92. And we got nothing changed. And here we are 30 years later.
We burned down our own shit.
And now the only reason that people are outraged is because, you know, Rodney King was filmed on a camcorder.
Yeah.
Now everybody got the film right here. So
HD.
Right? You seeing it so much now, it's almost like people are becoming desensitized to it, which is crazy. So, you know, we have to make sure that we don't let down the next generation when it comes to this, man, because it sickens me to see, you know, a guy like George Floyd, who, you know, we all know Jack. Jack is like us, right? That's Jack's brother.
I mean, the craziest part is that's just what we know, what we've seen. We know that this is happening all over the place where it's not being recorded or people don't even know about it. That's what I'm saying. So that's my point. That like you say, something literally has to be done.
We know it's going on. It's happening every day in our neighborhoods where we grew up. And for some reason, it's interesting. People see us now and think that we don't have to deal with it. but our families are still there. We can't bring everybody with us.
First
right?
of all,
Everybody out of the
and that-
neighborhood.
but the coldest part about it is that forget about pulling people out the neighborhoods. Like, we deal with it right now in
Today.
our neighborhoods that we live in,
No
while
matter how
we've been
successful
successful,
we
while
become.
we've made it to the leagues, and while we've made it where we've made it. When we trying to gain access to our communities and stuff, we get looked at sideways until they know you or whatever. All
Stopped
those different
and all
things
that
still
stuff.
happen in 2020.
Has anybody asked you this question? How'd you get this car?
Oh boy, please. Come on,
How'd
man.
you
My
get
whole
this-
career.
Like
Yeah.
you get pulled over. Like you're not supposed to have a nice ride.
Yeah.
It's like, I got it because of the dope that's in my trunk.
Right. Go check. Go back there and check it.
I was riding around in my Rolls Royce and I couldn't find my insurance card. And he was like, so you riding around, you don't got insurance? I was like, this is a $350,000 car. What makes you think I don't got no insurance? I just
That's
can't
the
find my
easiest thing
car.
I could pay for. If I
So
could
why
pay
would
for
you even give me a ticket for that? Like, come on, I just bought the car and no insurance?
But the view of you is you're not supposed to have that car.
Yeah, that's what it
You
was.
know, what job could you possibly be doing to where you had his car and I don't?
Yeah, and that's the only reason he pulled me over, because I had that car and he didn't.
And we got to, and look, you ain't gonna. The thing about it is, we can't change people's hearts,
Yeah,
but we could change the way shit is done so that people are punished for acting out on their heart.
we
And that's what we have to really impact the recruitment of cops, the training of cops, and the accountability of cops.
Yeah.
If we hit those three areas and really can get something changed in those three areas, you'll start seeing cops treat people treat black people like citizens instead of like animals.
Yeah, it's hard. Let's get in a little fun point. This game we kind of play on the show. We try to throw out there start, bench, cut. You know, first person is Magic Johnson. The second person is D Wade. The third person is LeBron. Start, bench, cut.
I got to pick one for each?
Yeah.
Oh, that is wrong on so many levels. Like, come on, man. I don't even know how to pick from that. That's so unfair.
It'd be some tough ones. You should hear some of the ones we done asked a lot of people.
Oh, my God. None of this is a win for me. This is all bad for me.
Everybody gonna see this too, so you know you might be getting a couple of phone calls after this.
I can play favorites though, right?
Whatever you want to do, however you want to do it, it's on you.
D Wade is one of my best friends, so I'm starting D Wade.
Okay,
there it is.
Who benching? Who you benching? Magic or LeBron?
I'm gonna bench Bron, and I'm gonna cut Magic so he can run the team.
Good answer. That's a great answer. You coached a lot of players so far, and you're going to coach many more. But right now, from the players that you done coached, whether you was assistant coach, whether you a head coach, if you could put 5 players together to be your starting 5 to coach out of all them teams, all them players, who would be that starting 5 for you?
My point guard would be Mike Conley.
Okay.
So he's the best point guard that I've coached.
I love Conley.
Yeah, the only reason I say that too is because I got Nick the Quick late. Like if we just going off of I would probably take Nick because Nick was just an assassin. But Nick, by the time I got to him in Golden State, he was on one leg and it was declining. But I ended up hiring Nick because Q wouldn't come to Memphis to coach with me. So I ended up hiring Nick. But I would say Mike Conley. I would say D Wade. Q, you might be in that mix. Bron for sure. Chris Bosh for sure. And Mark Gasol.
Oh, so Conley, D Wade, LeBron, Bosh, and Mark Gasol. That's a nice lineup right there.
Pretty nice lineup right there. And I never got to coach Chris Stapps either. Chris Stapps was already, by the time he was traded while he was hurt for us. So, he would have made that list too if he would actually stay with us and I'd have got to coach him. But I would say, that 5 right there with Q knocking on the door, because that group would have needed some balance. That's somebody that would have been ready to smack somebody up if they got out of line.
He just like Anthony Mason.
You got to have that though. You to win. I just believe you got to have a guy that's willing to tell the guy that's getting all the damn shots that he wrong. Because somebody on the team has to be able to tell him that. And that was the thing with Q, which was awesome, was, although he and D-Wade already had a previous relationship, I don't think it would have mattered. He was willing to tell D-Wade that he was wrong. And that's an important thing to have on the team, because if your star is not going to listen to anybody, your culture is probably going to go out the window.
He was
and on those championship teams, as crazy as it sounds, a lot of people don't know this about them. But Chris Bosh was that guy for the championship teams. Chris Bosh would go in on Bron. He would go in on D-Wade.
Right.
You got to think Chris Bosh was averaging 25 and 13 in Toronto. So he gave up a lot.
He was killing in Toronto.
He was unstoppable. Come on, let's
when I played against him, I was like, boy, I'm looking at him like, nah, he a little soft. When I played against him, I said, oh, no, he good.
He can play, man. And he gave up a lot to come be a part of that. And so his attitude was, if I'm giving up all these shots and I got to start spotting up from three and I got to switch on pick and rolls and do all that, y'all ain't going to be able to make excuses about when you screwing up either. And so CB used to be on them dudes. Everybody thinks CB the soft guy that's quiet. That's shit. CB used to be on their head, man. And it made, and I always say this, he was the guy who made it work. Like, he was the glue that really brought that whole thing together and made that whole thing work for us to win the titles we did.
Man, nah, man, I can ask Fizz this. Fizz, my man, I know he did something. Like, you done got a couple head coaching gigs, man. Big, nice little pocketbook money for you, man. What did you do? Did you buy a whip? I see you are in a new house now, getting everything together, but like what did you do when you got the money? Said, I gotta go ahead and whether you went and took wifey on a trip somewhere, what you did?
That was the first thing I did. I took wifey on a trip. We went. It was cool because actually part of the trip was paid for by our good friend D-Wade, but we went to Greece with D-Wade and Gabby and Udonis and Faith and a couple other friends. D-Wright.
D-Wright, yeah.
Our guy, D-Wright and Mia was over there, and we got to celebrate it. And the funniest thing happened. It was so funny. Is because I had that whole funny press conference where I went off about the refs and take that for data and all that stuff. So we're at one of these Greek ruins, and people know who D-Wade is, obviously, and stuff like that. But this dad and his son comes up to me, and they're from like Saudi Arabia, and they're like, "Oh my God, take this for data, take that." And D-Wade is like filming it. He's going, "Oh, this is some bullshit. They know you now." He's like, "How is it that they know you now?" Like, and then just died laughing. He's like, "Man, you officially made it because people starting to know you from other places in the world." But that was the first thing we did. And then I stole something out of your playbook. When Q was playing for us, I always loved Q. Always had white cars.
Yeah.
So now I'm following right your footsteps. I got two white cars sitting in the driveway. Nice rides.
What are they though? What are they though? That's the part I want to hear. What are they though? You said nice rides. I would like to hear the particulars on that. The particulars.
It ain't D Miles Bentleys or nothing like that. But we got a Range, a new Range,
new
Range, we got a new big Tesla.
Hey,
Range and tough. That's
you elite.
Now think about this. The Range was a Christmas gift to my wife a few years ago. So the Tesla was a gift to myself until my wife drove it.
And she
now
loved
the
it.
Tesla's hers, and I got to drive the Range. So
yeah, I want a Tesla. I'm going to get me a minivan.
Hey,
all these kids, I'm getting me a minivan.
Hey, listen, my wife laughs at me, but I told her I want to trick out a minivan.
Man.
And get all the bells and whistles in it. And so when our kid comes, that's gonna be what I'm driving my kid around.
No minivans are dope.
Both of y'all are crazy. And y'all I'm not gonna lie. I've seen some very elite, very nice minivans, but I will never be that washed that I'm driving my kids and my family in the
You know what I want really though? I want the old
never that washed.
The old Volkswagen van. You remember the big old
fat boy with them hips.
Fat boy. I want to do it up like a Sprinter on the inside.
What's that? The 18 van? The 18?
Y'all make me feel. Y'all make me feel.
Put the spoiler on the back of that joint. Put the spoiler on the.
Hey, listen.
Really, my favorite thing is property. That's my big thing. Is I got a couple spots, and I'm big into the owning property and the fact that you don't have to live there and you can rent your stuff now and make money off of that. You know, and so I got a spot here and there around where the places I like to go, where I keep a little. And this is the greatest thing ever. I always tell my wife, because this is my only dream when I got a little cash in my pocket, was whenever I go to a place that I really love going, can I already have a lockbox with stuff that I wear in that place so that I don't have to travel with any luggage and I could just walk right into my spot? And
you trying to ball now?
Yeah,
ball so hard. I see. Yeah. I got the spot here.
Already. But when I ain't there, I'm renting it, so it ain't that balling. Like
you still gotta get some
money off. You know me?
All right, that's a wrap, man. We had to move back inside. My main man Fizz had that good Cali Valley heat hitting the computer. He was about to overheat, so he had to change locations. But we bearing with him, and everything got situated. We appreciate you, my man Fizz, man. This was love for real, man. The first NBA coach to come through rock with us, man, and it was what it was, man. We appreciate it.
Next time when this COVID pass, I'm gonna be next to y'all in person. We're gonna do this in Orlando.
Oh, definitely.
Straight up. You know hey, that's really how we want to rock anyway. We just gotta, stay safe, stay your ass at home.
Send me my mask, man. I need a mask.